Anna sent us this photo. She says, my 10-year-old sat down at the kids' table and said, so who do you think will win the 2020 election? Those sound like my kids.
Well, I wonder what the answer was. Sherrod Brown? I don't know. Here's Linda sharing this photo of her growing family. She says, we had a wonderful time just being together. Politics never entered our conversations yesterday. Good for you.
And this photo comes from Tom in North Carolina. His family is celebrating their first Thanksgiving in their new home. He says there were no politics, just football was discussed at their Thanksgiving table. And look at that turkey. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
It almost looks fake. It's so perfect.
Yeah, well, listen, Christmas is now just 32 days away, so the holiday shopping rush is on.
That's right. People at this hour all across the country have raced to the stores even before the sun came up to try to score some of those doorbuster specials on Black Friday.
And Carly Shimkus, she's live in the middle of all this madness at Macy's flagship store here in New York City. Carly, wherever you're at, there's a party. And by the way, there's a lot of shopping right now.
Oh, and a lot of shopping going down. Happy Black Friday, guys. I got to say, the only Christmas color people are seeing today is green, because on average, Americans are going to spend $7.7 billion, 717 actually billion dollars this year. That's what expected. And these fine folks are very excited about shopping. So what are you going to be buying today?
Let's see. We need a coat.
Yeah.
We need toys.
Amen.
We need vacation packages.
I love that.
Yes.
All
That's
right.
a few electronics.
Where are you planning on going? Somewhere warm, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Very good,
We're
very
going to
good.
head down to some things, and then we're going to come back here at Macy's.
And if you could look at these beautiful, famous Macy's Christmas windows right there. Very lovely. And then I'm going to swing back on over here and talk to these fine ladies right here who've been waiting. They're big Fox fans, I hear. So what are you going to be spending your money on today?
We are getting sweaters for this one.
Oh, yeah, sweaters.
And this is mother-daughter?
Yes.
Okay, so why did you decide to brave the lines and shop inside these stores today and not online?
Because we need the New York experience. We were at the parade yesterday, and now we're shopping.
So you guys don't mind cold weather?
Well, we're not used to it. We're from Atlanta.
Oh, from Hotlanta. I get it. Have you ever been, we've all seen the videos before, have you ever been involved in a Black Friday brawl?
Not quite yet. We're hoping for one.
It's a peaceful crowd, right? All right, let's swing on over to you guys. Are you guys Black Friday shopping?
Yes.
What are you going to spend your money on? Yeah, I see some bags right here.
Macy's and H&M and Foot Locker.
Oh, all right. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I hope you have a great time. So the crowds are, filing into the store. Everybody's having a good time, right? Even though it's cold, people are coming to shop. And I think that's exactly what I'm going to do right now, because it is a little chilly, and I'm seeing some coats that I like inside as well.
Carly, if you see my wife and daughters, can you keep them from not going inside Macy's?
No, Carly, show them the handbag
Little
section.
delay. All right, Carly, thank you very much. I love the fact that Macy's pipes that music outside, so it just puts you in the Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
Time to shop.
I think that was a no from Carly, by the way.
All right. Meanwhile, it was just in the last 5 minutes or so, the President of the United States has been, he's down in Mar-a-Lago for the Thanksgiving holiday. And he, like many Americans, are concerned about what is happening on our southern border. And he just tweeted this out. Republicans and Democrats must finally come together with a major border security package, which will include funding for the wall. After 40 years of talk, it is finally time for action. Fix the border for once and for all. This comes on the heels of comments he made yesterday, where it sounds like the president could actually close the U.S.-Mexican border to people coming in or going out unless Mexico does something. And he also said, unless Congress does something regarding the wall and giving him the money to build the wall, which he ran on, he might actually agree to a partial government shutdown.
And we had former acting ICE director Tom Homan on, and here's what he had to say about the president threatening to do that if we don't take action now.
The reason there's a caravan on the border, the reason the borders, the numbers are high right now is because Congress has failed to act. They failed to build a wall. They have failed to close the loopholes that are causing these caravans. Everybody's watching what's going on right now. And if we do not secure this border, if we let these people come in and they get released, not to show up in court, or even if they show up in court, get ordered, don't leave. If we don't have a hard response and protect the sovereignty of this country right now, There's going to be more caravans. This is just the beginning.
Shutting down the border is a very serious thing. And we have $520 billion of trade between our countries. In just the state of Wisconsin, there's $6 billion. You can imagine every single state has an interest because Mexico is such a big trading partner. By shutting down or threatening to shut down the border and possibly doing it, suddenly this becomes both countries have a problem with it, but in a way it becomes more Mexico's problem because the caravan's on that side.
A lot at stake, including the incoming president of Mexico, but also Congress. Remember, if you talk to Tom Homan or any of these other Border Patrol guys, it's the loopholes, it's Congress's failure to act. Tom just mentioned that, and we're going to see that. One of the things Congress, by the way, is going to do, they think, at least while it's still in a Republican hands, is try and speak with James Comey, who got subpoenaed over Thanksgiving.
That's right. The Republicans in the House have been dogged. They've said, we want to get him on the record talking about certain things. And so Mr. Comey and Loretta Lynch, our former Attorney General, both got subpoenas to appear before the House Judiciary Committee, probably on December 3rd or thereabouts. And it's going to be a closed-door session. In other words, it's not going to be one of those televised things where everybody has 5 minutes, because by the time you get around to asking a question, your 5 minutes are up. And what they're going to be investigating is the decisions made and not made by the Department of Justice and FBI during 2016, including Hillary Clinton's private email service. And keep in mind, it was James Comey who was running the FBI at the time of Crossfire Hurricane, when all of the spying on the Trump administration got started.
In fairness to James Comey, now he is tweeted on Thanksgiving. Here's what he said. He said, happy Thanksgiving. Got a subpoena from House Republicans. I'm still happy to sit in the light and answer all the questions, but I will resist a closed-door thing because I've seen enough of their selective leaking and distortion. Let's have a hearing and invite everyone to see. So he wants this out in the open. He doesn't want the situation where it's behind closed doors.
That's right. But Representative Trey Gowdy says, listen, I want it behind closed doors because if I have him in a hearing, he's going to, avoid answers. He's going to, and this is a trick they all use because you get 5 minutes with each member of Congress, one on the Democrat side, one on the Republican side, and they kind of switch off. And, it's pretty easy to kind of say, well, can you repeat that question? Can you say it a different way? It basically eats up all your time.
Right.
And also, he has a lot of this information is confidential or
Sure.
it's top secret. So he can say, listen, I can't answer it in public. That's why Trey Gowdy is saying, hey, I want you behind doors where I don't have time limits and where you can tell me the absolute truth.
And so he weighed in on Monday.
He
Here's what Trey Gowdy had to say.
The last time I saw Jim Comey in a public congressional hearing, almost 100 times, he said, I can't answer in this setting. So why in the world would he want to go back to a setting where he knows he can't answer all the questions? I'm sure he only wants me to have 5 minutes. I'm sure of that. But I need more than 5 minutes. I have 37 pages of questions for Rod Rosenstein. So imagine how many questions I have for Jim Comey, and I can't do it in 5 minutes.
And Mr. Comey's attorney said that if they go ahead and proceed and do it behind closed doors, there could be some court action from the Comey team. In the meantime, regarding former Attorney General Lynch, her spokesperson did not respond for a request for a comment.
So, but if you have a subpoena, and by the way, they only have this lame duck before the Democrats take over the next month and a half.
Yeah.
Does he have to do it under the under the
when you call
door?
the Congress, you've got to go.
We'll find out, but I'll tell you who's going to take over right now, Jillian Mealy.
Yes, I am.
You're taking
actually.
over.
Yes, I'm going to take over everything right now. Good morning. Now, I'll get you caught up on some of your news that we're following, starting with this Fox News alert. Holiday shopping turns deadly overnight. A teenager opening fire in an Alabama mall, shooting 2 people during a fight. Panicked shoppers hiding in store closets, fearing for their lives.
It was crazy in every direction, and I just started praying that God would give the police wisdom and accuracy of shot, protect the victims.
The gunman shot dead by police. His 2 victims are in the hospital. Also breaking overnight, dozens are hurt after a charter bus overturns on an icy road. The bus carrying the University of Washington marching band flipping on its side on its way to tonight's Apple Cup game against Washington State. Nearly 40 of the 56 people on board are injured, but thankfully none seriously. Iran's foreign minister slamming President Trump for being untrustworthy. Javad Zarif telling a panel in Rome that if Iran makes an agreement with the U.S. on the Iran nuclear deal, there is no guarantee it will last. The foreign minister adding he is continuing to stick to the current conditions of the deal, including the sanctions imposed by the U.S. Fans of The Office will recognize this dance immediately.
You jump to the right and you shake a hand, and you jump to the left and you shake that hand. You meet new friends, you tie some yarn, and that's how you do the scone. You jump to the right and you shake a hand, and you jump to the left and you shake
He's a huge fan of the sitcom. Let's start that over again. Trey Quinn, Redskins, huge fan of the sitcom because he used that scarn dance to celebrate his touchdown. Office star Steve Carell tweeting the video, writing, quote, "That's how you do the scarn. Happy Thanksgiving." Let's take a look here. Yeah, let's watch it. Okay, here we go. Tie the yarn.
Yes.
The Redskins lost to the Cowboys, but, you know.
That one hurt.
Yeah.
I'm a Redskins fan. I stayed up. We had Colt McCoy trying to take over. They did good.
Sorry.
They didn't win. Up and sounding off about one of those decisions, tweeting, "Really good criminal justice reform has a true shot at major bipartisan support. Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer have a real chance to do something so badly needed in our country. Already passed with a big vote in the House would be a major victory for all."
So what else does he need to get done? Here to weigh in is former White House press secretary and now a senior advisor and spokesman for America First Action. Sean Spicer is here. He's also the author of The Briefing. Welcome.
Hey, good to see you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday.
Happy Black Friday. Sean, quickly, so here you have an opportunity on criminal reform. What do you think, look into the crystal ball here for me, what do you think will happen and what should happen?
Well, this is actually a really interesting and unique opportunity because it's the Senate that's the problem. And you have a bipartisan group of legislators, but it's the leadership at the top that I think you have to take care of. In other words, you've got McConnell and Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas who has some issues with the current piece of legislation. So I think that there's a hope that that can get done. But frankly, I also think that if that doesn't get done this session, even with the Democrats taking the control of the House, that could easily happen next time. Yeah. The president, by not only maintaining but growing the lead of Republicans in Senate, will be able to continue to get nominations through, all those judges, all the other folks that work in the government. But I think that the big difference is in the next 11 days, his key priorities only have a shot at getting done because once the Democrats take over the House, the legislative piece of his agenda is really going to get narrowed. And I think, so it's not just the criminal justice. I think any kind of hope for serious funding for a border wall has got to happen in the next few days because after you lose the House of Representatives, I don't see Nancy Pelosi doing anything to help him on that front.
Yeah, but you know, Sean, when you were at the White House, there were a lot of Republicans that would say, yeah, I'm with the president, let's build the wall. But then when it was time to take a vote, it was like, where'd those guys go?
Yeah, they were conspicuously absent a lot of the time. And that's why I'm saying, but again, that's more than anything else. It's hard enough to get it through the Senate, but he grew his lead in the Senate, which may make it a little easier. The odd thing is, but by losing the House, I think we're going to have no shot at getting anything significant done on border wall. So I would hope that he could really pressure the House and then those key senators to get something done in the remaining few days that we have left.
And you actually think that could happen? That we could get the funding in the lame duck?
I think that people are going to realize, I mean, look, to Steve's point, that if you don't get it done now, Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, the rest of that team over there is not going to give them any help.
Okay, I noticed it's Casual Friday there at the Spicer place. What'd you do for Thanksgiving?
We had a fabulous time. My family, my daughter cooked a fabulous turkey and some desserts. We went over to our friends Elizabeth Manresa and Teddy Inan, who are the ones that introduced my wife and I. So it's a really special time to give thanks for all of our blessings and everything that God has bestowed upon us. So I hope you guys had an equally great and blessed Thanksgiving.
We all have a lot to be thankful for. All right. Sean, thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean.
You bet, guys.
All right.
All right. It was the deadliest fire in New York City in nearly 30 years, the fire happening just blocks away from Father. If you haven't noticed, it's Black Friday, the biggest shopping day of the year.
And people across the country are running out to the mall to score the best deals.
Hillary Vaughn from the Fox Business Network is live at one of those big malls outside New York City in Garden City, New York, out on Long Island. And Hillary, you've been with us for 3 hours, and I'm seeing more people stream behind you than we saw in the 6 o'clock hour.
A lot more people. This is the 7th biggest mall in America, but there are still lines out the door in some of those stores. And we've been talking to shoppers all morning. I want to introduce you to Shelly and Sophia. They've been waiting in line for about 15 minutes now. Do you guys do Black Friday every year?
Yes, every year. Yeah, every year. We love it. Yes.
What are you guys looking for today?
Well, we're looking for like a charm for my mom or some of our friends from Pandora, so they're having a great sale today, so we're got up early for that.
Is there some competition between you guys? I mean, who gets the better gift for mom? You're shopping together today.
No.
How do you keep from each other what you're getting each other if you're shopping together?
Well, we don't do surprises. Sometimes it's like, oh, I like these boots, and I'm like, okay, I'll buy that for you.
So we're out here having a lot of fun. Everyone's getting in the holiday spirit. A lot of young shoppers today, millennials out getting into the Black Friday tradition as well. Back to you, Griff.
Thank you. Good. Let's spend all those young people's money. Get this economy going. Thanks, Hillary.
And I'm surprised because you would think that they would just be shopping on their phone, but maybe they actually want to go out and see stuff.
Brick and mortar for young people? It's a new thing.
All right. Meanwhile, 8:25 here in New York City.
And as the Thanksgiving week closes, we take a look back at the causes Fox and Friends viewers have supported this past year.
Back in December of last year, New York City experienced the most deadly fire in more than 25 years in the city. Father Jonathan Morris's Bronx Church is only a few blocks away from that scene of that apartment fire, and he rushed to the scene to comfort his grieving community. He joins us on Fox and Friends following that devastating fire last year.
It's been something I've never experienced before, just dealing with every one of these families from the moment of actually identifying the bodies in the hospital to now when the cameras have pretty much gone away and these families are without a home, they're without family members, the funerals are beginning, and they need just basic necessities.
And you, our viewers, stepped up in a really big way to help the victims. The GoFundMe page surpassed its goal. Fox News religion contributor Father Jonathan Morris created that GoFundMe page. He joins us now with an update. So many of these families hurt. I mean, some of this pain's never going to go away. But at least our viewers stepped up and are trying to help in some way, right?
Yeah, 13 died, we should say, at the beginning, including a baby less than 1 year old. All of them were displaced. All 24 families were displaced, and the building has still not opened. And what I've learned, first of all, a very positive thing is we complain sometimes about this digital world, right? Everybody's on their phone, but because of this digital world, people in Kansas and California and all over this great country were able to support these people in the Bronx in their moment of need. We raised over $300,000. And what we've done, the second thing I've learned, which was a real eye-opener for me, is it's not easy to give away money in a responsible way. Yeah. And I would really encourage our viewers, always make sure that there's an organization behind what you're giving to. In this case, right from the beginning, I brought in Catholic Charities, and we made sure there was a caseworker working with every single person who said they were affected. And it gets complicated because most of the people living in this building in the Bronx were not even the leaseholders. So how do you find out the right way? You have to work with them individually. And so what we've done is, for example, we found out what a family would need would be rent for the next year. We didn't give them all money right away. We gave them a little bit in order to get by. And then we started paying their rent. And for each family, we figured out what is it that they most needed. Some got more than others. That's not easy. I had plenty of people yell at me. But that's part of serving, serving the poor.
And doing it responsibly.
And of all the 24 displaced families, how are they doing?
So all of them have found permanent housing now. But it doesn't mean that their lives are back together. Many of them had to lose their jobs because they were going from one place to another for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Not an easy situation at all. And of course, when a life has been lost, there's no putting that back together again.
So I guess as we conclude, we're at Black Friday now. A lot of people are spending money on things. It's a great salute to the Fox and Friends viewers who put money to help other people who they have never met.
It was incredible. I think the first goal was $50,000, and within 2 minutes we had surpassed it. So I changed it to 100,000, then to 200,000, and then we went from 200,000 without changing the goal to over 300,000, and that's because people care. And in this world that we live in, that things seem to be so negative and dark sometimes. This is just one more example that light is stronger than darkness, and people are at their core very good, and we have some amazing viewers out there who have changed people's lives for the good this year.
I loved how you talked about the digital, because you're right, we do focus so much on how the digital components of our life disconnect us, and how it really brought people together and allowed them to see this situation as not so far away.
That's right. Yeah, the technology just of GoFundMe in this case changed people's lives like that.
If people are still interested in donating, because there still are needs, go to foxandfriends.com and we will link you right over to the father's.
Actually, I will say don't give any more money.
Really?
And yeah, because
but there's so many other charities
There's so many others.
Yes.
The reason I say that is we have to make sure that people are giving where it's most needed.
Point, Father.
And we will come to you when there's another huge need.
All right.
The importance of charity and giving.
All right.
That's
Father
right.
John.
Thank you, Father.
Wonderful message, Father.
Absolutely.
Always. Thank
All
you.
right.
Appreciate it. All right, we've been talking about it all morning. President Trump threatening to shut down the border if Congress doesn't act to stop the caravan. Well, Bill Bennett says the president can deliver on that promise, and he is joining us next.
Plus,
the holidays, 'cause no matter.
Yep, that's our view from 48th and 6th Avenue on this day after Thanksgiving.
It's a good one indeed. A lot of shoppers out there, to include my wife. I wonder what Bill Bennett's doing. You think he's shopping after this busy Thanksgiving?
I hope he's looking at a TV camera. You know him. He's Fox News contributor, former education secretary under Ronald Reagan, author of a brand new book. It's called The True St. Nicholas, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Bill, how'd you spend your Thanksgiving?
I think you got a picture of our table there at Thanksgiving. We ate at home. And we had Mrs. Bennett prepares there are my two sons on the left and right with their lovely girlfriends, my wife, beautiful wife at the far end, and parents of one of the girlfriends. I don't know what that means, but could be, we'll see.
Oh, I think we all know what it means.
But Steve, Mrs. Bennett, I know you're Cookbook Steve. If I were Donald Trump, I would call you Cookbook Steve. That would be your nickname. But Mrs. Bennett does a practice turkey and then a presentation turkey.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, practice turkeys for extra gravy, you see.
Now, Bill, you mentioned the president. He's threatening to shut down the whole border with Mexico if immigration becomes uncontrollable. You say he may actually succeed in that task.
Yeah, well, I think the president has the authority under national security. This has happened before. In 1985, the border was shut down. I was the first drug czar, you might remember. Not then, but a little later. But because of the Kiki Camarena case, this was the DEA agent who was killed. Ronald Reagan shut down the border. And we also did it right after 9/11. This is under national security. The president makes that decision, and it's not an easily challengeable decision. The president has that discretion. So I think he says it, and with this president, when he says it, he usually means it.
Dr. Bennett, the president is not backing down from his argument over Twitter, I suppose, with Justice Roberts. Now, we know there are liberal judges, there's conservative judges, but there are judges that follow the Constitution, and there are judges that follow their heart and their ideology. Tell us whether you think the president is right to pick this fight with the Supreme Court.
Well, he's certainly right, but Roberts really picked this fight. The president's talked about the Ninth Circuit and liberal judges. There's no question about it. If you have eyes, you can see that. If you read their opinions, you can see that. But this is not unprecedented either. And Donald Trump puts himself here in the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, who had a fierce debate with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Roger B. Taney, in the Dred Scott decision, and then in the case of habeas corpus in the Civil War. So this is a fight that John Roberts, I think, didn't want to pick. By the way, when he talks about the independence of the judiciary, I wonder if he tapped Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the wrist when she was criticizing candidate Trump and saying, that he was a fake and a phony, because that's not really above the fray, is it?
No. You make a great point. Let's talk a little bit about your brand new book. It's The True St. Nicholas. St. Nicholas, a real person, but then legend sprang up around him. And your book reminds people about virtue, and you've written all about that, and this particular man.
Yeah, it's a great story. I, like a lot of people, thought St. Nick was just a nickname for Santa Claus. But there's a real guy, St. Nicholas, born in 280 A.D., a lot of stories how he comes to be known as Santa Claus, lives through the ages, but the great story, and really this is the Fountainhead story. Young man, his parents die, they leave him some money, and he notices that a family of poor people, a man and his three poor daughters, they can't get married because they don't have a dowry. So in the middle of the night, Nicholas, the young Nicholas, goes with a bag of gold, throws it through the window of the home into a stocking. Okay, see where this is going, right? Anyway, that.